I'm Jesca Hoop.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Northern California, but I've come here by way of Manchester, England.
And how long have you been living over there?
11 years.
And how do you like it over there?
Well, it's a mix of loving England for England and missing California, but missing the United States more than just missing California. But the weather is very different. California is very well rounded. Manchester is more kind of like, it's got more contrast in terms of it's kind of cold and then sometimes it's warm. So does that mean contrast?
Yeah.
It's not as dynamic as the contrast is stark over there. California's got a whole range, doesn't it?
What made you move to Manchester?
The only thing that could really make me move anyway across the ocean, which was a partnership.
Great. When did you start making music?
I guess I started writing songs when I was 16 years old, but I've always sung since I was a child, as a family thing. But then I guess I started recording when I was 20. I put out my first record when I was 32, and I think I started taking it seriously when I was 28. Like, decided to go into this field at 28.
And who did you listen to growing up?
I listened to my dad's record collection mostly, aside from radio, which was all like Whitney Houston, Huey Lewis and the News, and all of these top 40 artists, Michael Jackson, whatever. My dad's record collection was like, well, Joni Mitchell was in there. There was Crosby, Stills and Nash. There was Neil Diamond we listened to as a family. I guess I still have a special spot in my heart for some of those songs. It's a guilty pleasure, I would say. But I won't go to his concerts as an old lady. So let's see, what else? Old folk stuff. There's a duo called, it's either Ian and Silva or Ian and Sylvia, but I think it's Silva. Anyhow, they were like super kind of wholesome folk, duet style type, American singing. I'm assuming they're American, but I used to think everything was American growing up. I didn't think the Beatles were American.
So how did you get started?
How did I get started?
Yeah.
Writing songs?
Yeah. And or turning it into a career.
Turning it into a career. Starting writing songs was just a pastime. Had a knack for a melody. I would concentrate on melody first. My structures were all over the place. I would put 3 songs into one song, but they were just for me. I guess I was working in this survival program where I was one of the guides, looking after kids who were between the ages of 12 and 18. It's kind of like a correctional type of experience. It's not a camp, so I would not want to say camp. Go into the high mountain deserts and they have like a wilderness purge, basically. 2 months of outdoor living, no shelters, etc. Really rugged, very rugged. When I was up there, being very close to nature, sleeping outside every night, as much as I love the high mountain deserts of Arizona, I was thinking I am not making use of my strongest skill set, which is singing. I think that's how I perceived myself at the time. And so I decided to move back to California. I was going to find a shack, fix it up, and I was going to start a band. And I did. I found a shack underneath this blackberry bush. I had to clear the blackberry bush, turn it into something habitable. It was good. I had an outdoor kitchen. I found my first bandmate. That band lasted for a couple of years. And then I decided I wasn't going to get anywhere if I stayed in Sonoma County. That's where all this transpired. So I decided to move to LA. My partner, my bandmate, wasn't up for moving to LA, so I moved by myself. It wasn't like X Factor decided to break up the band to make me a soloist. I was just like, this isn't the place to jump off from. So I moved.
Tell me a little bit about your new album, Stone Child.
Well, it's 11 songs long. It's about 43 minutes of music. It's folkier. It's more focused in terms of the mood throughout. I tend to like throw in something that's whimsical or a bit of like comic relief, because I tend to focus on like heavier subjects. I just find it more engaging, the complicated stuff. So I've always tended in the past to throw in something light, and I moved away from that this time. So the whole thing has kind of a dark, brooding feel, and I don't mean that it's aggressive. I just mean that it's just got a storm. It's like made in a storm cloud in a way. Mm-hmm. But with that said, it's got that electrical storm brewing inside of it.
So what are some things that are important to you that you like to address through your music?
That's a good question. I think I tend to want to destigmatize things. I tend to want to look at, especially with these songs, I'm very directly in certain songs, I'm dealing with things that I think we're all struggling with, even though it may not be on the forefront of your own complicated life, but things that I think keep us from feeling balanced. And some of them are very big and broad, and some of them are more intricate and little. There's a song about misogyny as it's perpetuated by women, because it can't happen in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. It has to happen with cooperation of some sort, or defeat, whatever. So that's one thing that I find a lot of, like, I find meat on the bone there. There's a song about racism, for the lack of a better word. The song supports diversity, and it wants to send white supremacy into the bottom of the river. It's doing that very directly, and not just white supremacists or white supremacy, but settled white supremacy, this culture that we live in, basically. So I always angle towards change, but I call it a compassion project, because at the root of all of the address is compassion.
You've been actively collaborating with other artists. Which ones have really stood out to you, and what do you like most about collaborations?
Surprise is the thing that I like the most about collaboration, and being taken aside from your own self. As much as we like to think we can grow, we have limitations as far as what we're physically able to do. So I would say, the singers, everyone that I worked with on this record, I really got a lot out of or from in terms of insight and experience. John Parrish was really, he was very gentle and fluid collaborator. He gave me a lot of, and I don't always experience this, gave me a lot of room to experiment with my ideas. That isn't something always a producer affords you. Mm-hmm. Strangely, you kind of sometimes might have to fight for your voice to be heard on the arrangement side of things. And it's natural to have a little bit of a wrestling match sometimes. John and I weren't totally without wrestling matches here and there if we had, a disagreement or a difference in hearing. But overall, I wanted to hear the record through his ears. So the collaboration, his sensibility is drawing out in me what the result of the record is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then Lucius, who is LA based, in fact, you know, I'm not going to say where they live, but they live here. They have a kind of like body to their voices. Holly and Jess have a way of singing that I don't think I have, like a resonance, you know, like this ability to create a big sound. And that's one of the reasons why I called them, to help me get the church celebration type, like boisterous sound out of female voices. And then the other singers on the record, Kate Staples and Rosie Plain, are English girls who helped me kind of bring that kind of like Baroque, kind of field music type of moody, atmospheric, and some British accents in there as well, you know, which I have given myself permission to use because I've been there for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And they're always using American accents.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to use a little bit here. There's not much, it's not pronounced, but only where it's natural.
What are your interests and passions outside of music?
I'm a keen walker. I love being far out in majestic landscapes. Wherever in the world I can find one, you'll find me walking. So whenever like we're touring, we'll always build in time if there's a national park nearby. My favorite, most recent, was Banff in Canada. I love to cook. I love primarily to cook for people, not just for myself, obviously. If it's just for me, I'm eating a baguette. But I love to cook for people, and I really love, and this is going to sound ridiculous because there's not a better word, but I love fashion. I love clothing, like dressing. Mm-hmm. Dressing for all occasions. But the funny thing is that I wear the same thing every day. I have a passion for textiles, the tangible world, designing rooms, putting together spaces. I like dancing. I like talking shit with my friends. What else? I don't know.
So what's your favorite book, film, and music right now?
My favorite book right now, the one I'm working away at slowly, is called The Color of Law. And it clarifies and makes very plain the systematic segregation that we still experience today, why all of the money is in white neighborhoods and why none that has been capped off for people of color. It makes it very clear how that happened, when it happened, and helps you see. It helps you, one thing that it helps you recognize what's going on as you travel through a city. It started in Richmond, the book starts in Richmond, and how it helps explain that during the wartime, houses were given to white people, houses were not allowed to be given to black mm-hmm. people, and it helps you, for me, it really helps you. Knowledge is understanding leads to empathy. So if you get that there are people sitting down making these things, these rules that cap progression for certain groups of people, then one, you understand your privilege. You understand that was a privilege that was given to you. And then you also, you get to feel for the people who are struggling more than you. So that's my favorite book right now. My favorite film, I watched Beautiful Boy recently. One, it's set in my hometown, and there's a lot of it's all North Bay, and I swear there's like Sonoma County roads in there, or Marin. It's my home landscape, But I also think, I don't know the young actor's name, but I think they did a magnificent job. I watched that one a few times. I mean, first time you watch it, it's jarring, incredibly jarring. And if you've ever taken any of those drugs, it brings back not a comfortable feeling. It's like a bad. For me, if I smoked meth once, and it was really a very bad feeling. And watching him display or just act that out for you brought that feeling back for me. So it's not a comfortable watch, but in the way that they just did an incredibly effective job.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I like to keep it easy, like light and easy.
Yeah, I tend to watch heavy films too. That it's more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like a good comedy, but if I have a choice between a comedy and a heavy drama, I'd choose a heavy drama. Yeah.
And music?
Music. I can't say that I'm listening to anything right now. I'm kind of steering clear of everything. The reason why I'm going old, and I'm sorry that I am doing that, but if I pay attention to what's current when I'm putting out a record, I start to feel like I could have just avoided this subject by telling you I'm listening to something old. But I tend to feel like I'm in a competition when I'm paying attention to what's now. And I'd rather just take everything at face value and not weigh it up against my own self, because right now I'm being judged. You know, I'm being weighed up and my work is being judged, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And it's also has felt very good. At the same time, I just want that to be just what it is and not weigh it up against something else. So, because it's really easy to do, and I fall prey to that easily. So I'm not listening to music right now. I go through big periods of time, no music. But I guess the last record I put on was the In the House.